It's noon here in Ventnor, New Jersey, and this is Friday, July 8th. And this is news that you can use from YAA with your dear friends and hosts, well, Zach and Ray. Zach, how are you this morning or this afternoon or whatever time zone you're in?
I'm fantastic, Pops. Glad to be with you. We will be live, by the way, tomorrow night. We took a month off, Dad. Did you realize we took a month off of Saturday night live streams? So back on the YAA channel tomorrow night, we will be live 7 p.m. Eastern. A month off, Dad. We're slackers.
Well, yes, indeed. That's because we spent some time. You spent some time vacationing, and then you spent some time recovering from your first vacation, and then we went to Montreal, and it was like, they wouldn't let us broadcast from the venues that we were at in Montreal.
Do a quick roll call. We got plenty of folks with us this morning. Good morning, Sylvia. Good to be with you. Tim's here with us. Sean's here. Slippy, Leon, Justice. Good to see all of you this morning. Thanks for being with us. Dad.
Yes.
Buying a car will never be the same. I am 100% in alignment with the idea that it will never be like it was 2 or 3 years ago. And you do you know why? Do you know why I'm saying that?
Well, considering the fact that you very rarely share with me what we're going to talk about, no, I don't.
Dad, buying a car will never be the same because new car incentives have gone by the wayside. Justin on our team back on the Join YAA website pulled in the latest data, Dad, for Q2 incentives from automakers for new cars. Some automakers, Dad, their incentives are down over 75% year over year. The days of going to the dealership, working them, and getting yourself, a couple $1,000s from the manufacturer, those days are long gone. At least that's my opinion.
Well, they're long gone why we have inventory issues. But once inventory builds up again, if and when inventory builds up again, and if there's a continued slowdown, if there's some type of slowdown in sales, then we will see incentives come back. Now, will they come back and be the same size they were in the past? Probably not. Manufacturers have figured out that they don't have to invest as much money in incentives to market their cars when there's, a shortage of cars. But I would think sometime in the future we will see some of those incentives grow again, especially on models that aren't selling well.
Let's look at the numbers now. Let's break them down. BMW incentives for Q2 were $1,206 per vehicle sold. And if I'm not mistaken, BMW, I forget what their average transaction price was for the last quarter, but it was well north of $60,000, I think.
Oh, yeah, it was over 60 grand.
All right, that's down 74% year over year. Daimler, their incentives, $1,257, down 65% year over year. Ford incentives down to $1,193, down over 50% year over year. GM, $1,847 of incentives. Honestly, pretty high relative to their peers, one of the highest on the list. However, that's down 58% year over year. And Dad, Honda incentives are $818. We talked about Honda the other day, Dad. Their sales were off 50% for the second quarter year over year.
So if your sales are off 50% because you just can't produce the cars and there are no cars for your dealers to sell, then why would you need to spend money on incentives to get those cars sold?
100%. And I love seeing this in the chat, Dad. Justice, BMW has a couple incentives, and Toyota just reintroduced good APRs, slowly creeping good news. Karim, who is works at a BMW dealership, BMW has better incentives this month. And here we go, Space saying, I mentioned that a couple days ago as well. BMW is protecting its market share, BMW loyalty lease, and lending cash. This is the power of the YAA community. Thank you guys for making us aware of all that. Don't expect to see those for Honda anytime soon.
No, I wouldn't think you'd see them at Honda. I wouldn't expect that you would see anything special at Mazda or Subaru. Those are three of the brands with the lowest day supply nationally. So I just can't imagine that those manufacturers are going to invest any real money in incentives to help move the three cars that they have.
Now, Stellantis has been a bit of an outlier in terms of their sales volume and also in terms of incentives. Let's keep going through the list here, though, Pops. Hyundai, $620 in incentives, down 71% year over year. A year ago, you'd get $2,100 in incentive from the manufacturer to buy a Hyundai. Kia, $650 in incentives, down 75%. Nissan incentives sitting at $1,500, down only 57% year over year. Stellantis, $1,893 in incentives, the highest of any automaker that's
Hmm.
reported this, only down 46% year over year. Pops, we've talked a lot on this show in the past because there's been news reports about how Stellantis has terrible relationships with their suppliers. Stellantis has been the one that's fared the best, I would say, of the major automakers during this chip crisis. Now, tomorrow night on the show, we're going to be talking to a community member who's had a recent terrible experience with a Stellantis product, but Stellantis is leading the way, the most incentives on any vehicle out there.
Well, when you rank third in popularity of the big three in the United States, GM, Ford, and Stellantis, um, you always tend to spend a tad more in incentives to incentivize customers abandoning other brands in order to come look at yours. And it works. I mean, their sales are up, so it works. You you can pay people to buy your products. There's two ways of doing it. You could either lower the asking price, or you could come up with larger incentives because, well, your asking price is way too much. Stellantis and most of the big three have always utilized the incentive route as opposed to trying to really disrupt the marketplace by being the first one to say, you know what, instead of incentives, we're going to lower the price of our vehicles by $3, $4, $5,000 just to make it look better to begin with than everybody else. Um, and it would seem to me that if you did that, you could generate more sales with less expense. But what the hell do I know?
Susanna reminding us that most people like the idea of getting something, quote, free, especially in the form of incentives. 100% agree with that. I've got two questions for the
You
chat.
know what,
First,
Zach?
yeah, go ahead.
When is free not really free? And the essence of incentives is just that. It's not free. Okay, it's all coming off of inflated pricing. The only time that the incentives could be free is when they utilize 0% interest, those specialized subvented interest rates. And as I like to say, the only reason you ever saw 0% interest on certain models is because there was zero interest in those models. And the only way you could get people to consider it was to say, well, basically, we're going to lend you the money for nothing for the next 5 or 6 years.
Which I should mention, I'll pull it up on the screen here. Let me share this really quickly. This comes by way of Cox Automotive. We've actually seen 0% financing options up from their May
Okay.
lows. 9.8% of transactions in the most recent month have had 0% financing options. The highest amount was back in March of last year, or excuse me, 2020, when
Yes.
0% financing represented 20% of the financing options for car buyers. So we are up from May lows, 9.8%. So there are still 0% financing options out there, Dad, which is pretty fascinating because those, as you said, do represent a really great value for a consumer.
Yep. They do. That's the only time they represent a great value. Otherwise, they should just I don't know. I keep saying it. The manufacturers get reports from every dealership. They get a financial statement every month that breaks down all the income that a dealership has, all the money that a dealership brings in, and it breaks down every vehicle sold by model, and so that they know what the average transaction price is. And if if they
Hmm.
just went to a system where the car was listed for sale at the average
I know.
transaction price, and that was the price, that there was no negotiation, and that was the price, for everybody. Good negotiator, bad negotiator, it doesn't matter because that's just the price. That's what I think they all should do. Obviously, that's never going to happen.
Now, I should mention we actually have the first ever, we're going to be doing our first ever promotion for extended warranties starting Monday of next week. But if you want it this week, just call us and ask us. We're offering $150 off. So, Dad, are we just pricing our stuff too high? Because we're going to be offering $150 off if you buy an extended warranty from. I mean, is that an example? Should we just lower the price? Should we just lower
Well,
the price?
I think, Zach, we're doing it to celebrate the fact that we're now in a position to be able to sell mechanical breakdown insurance in the state of California. And
Yeah.
and to celebrate that fact, we want to save people money. And we also want to encourage those 43 million people that live in California that, well, damn it, it's time to get that mechanical breakdown insurance from your good friends here at YAA. By the way, speaking of YA, what is with that shirt? Do you think it would be possible, A, to either order a new one or B, to just retire that thing altogether?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I might just get some Car Edge merch, but we'll talk about that later on. Also, yes, it took it took like a year to get authorized to sell in California. It's incredible. Over 500 people on our wait list for that, which is wild.
Wow.
Hopefully some of them come back. I want to finish off the list here of incentives, though, Dad. So Stellantis has
Okay.
$1,893 worth of incentives. Subaru, $753 worth. Toyota still has $803 worth of incentives. At this point, we're just talking about maybe like your nurse incentive, your police incentive, your firefighter incentive,
First
things like that.
responder incentive,
First responder, yep.
military incentives.
Volkswagen Group down to $1,169 in incentives. And as an industry, Dad, $1,228 worth of incentives in the second quarter, down from an average of $3,000 in incentives just 1 year ago. Pops, buying a car will never be like it was again, unless production comes back. I don't think we're ever going to see production come back to the level it was back in 2018, 2019 pre-pandemic. And this leads me to a question I have.
Okay.
And this is to the chat as well. Please, everyone answer this. Why are automakers still advertising on TV? Why? Help me understand that.
Well, because they don't want people to forget them. That's why. When they might actually have a vehicle for somebody to buy, they want the people to say, well, I want that Toyota, or I want that Hyundai, or whatever, or I want that GM product. Whatever you see advertised, it's simply because they want to keep their name top of mind. If they stop advertising altogether, they're afraid people are going to forget who they are. Now, the fact that, I don't know, there's millions and millions and millions of Fords on the road, and you see them every day when you're driving, it's hard to believe that Ford still wouldn't be top of mind. When you pass Car Dealer Row and you see all the dealerships, it's hard to believe that they wouldn't still be top of mind. But they're the advertising agencies have the manufacturers convinced that they still need to spend the money because, well, the advertising agencies still need the income. So,
yeah, I mean, I hear you and everything, but it's mind-boggling to me because if you think about it, I mean, they must spend. Aren't automakers, OEMs, some of the largest ad buyers in the world? I mean, yeah, they spend billions of dollars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and you think the advertising agencies are going to turn to them and say you don't really need to do this?
No, of course not. They got bills to pay, lights to keep on.
Sure.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-boggling to me, in all honesty. Pops, I want to turn our attention to some of the latest data we have from Cox Automotive, and it also corroborates what we saw with Black Book. I know you are going to get a kick out of this, Dad, because you know what it says in what I'm about to pull up?
I don't, because you didn't share it with me.
Seasonal adjustment, your favorite 2-letter word. We should really get an ad lib of you saying something related to seasonal adjustment. Can you read that, Pops?
It says wholesale used vehicle prices decrease in June from seasonal adjustment. What exactly does that mean?
Okay, so I read that first thing this morning. I was like, is this the worst headline ever? Or are they trying to be intentionally ambiguous? Wholesale used vehicle prices on a mixed mileage and seasonally adjusted basis decreased 1.3% in June from May. The Manheim Used Vehicle Value Index declined to 219.9, up about 10% from a year ago. The non
Mhm.
adjusted price change in June decreased 1.8% compared to May, leaving the unadjusted average price up 10.7% year over year. So, Dad,
Yes.
adjusting the price for inflation and everything else like that, prices decreased 1.3%. You take out all of the seasonally adjustment related stuff, prices actually dropped 1.8% month over month.
Okay, so what are you saying? It really dropped 1.8%, or it only dropped 1.3%? How can it be both? Why do we have to play seasonally adjusted? Why isn't it okay? The damn prices dropped 1.8% last month. It's not that hard. It really isn't. I mean, at a certain point, it help me with this, but it's just math. Okay. Either the prices dropped 1.8% or they didn't. But it sounds like they did, which is a good
Potentially,
thing.
maybe.
Yeah.
Now,
Well,
Dad,
who knows?
let's pull it up here and let's take a peek. Pickups and mid-size cars lost more than 2% of their value last month, or over the past month, followed by luxury cars and vans at 1.8% and 1.6% respectively. So pickups, mid-size cars, that's where we saw the greatest, decline in wholesale prices. Vans and then, luxury cars, then vans. On a year-over-year basis, Dad, pickup trucks are now below the price that they were at a year ago. Vans are still up 23% year over year. You can see compact cars are up about 15%. Again, a lot of what you're seeing here is gas price related.
Mm-hmm. Well, so then so I'm guessing in July we should then conversely see the prices go up because gas prices are coming down. We have had 23 straight days where gas prices have dropped. So
Yep.
if there's a correlation, one would assume then that as gas prices come down, prices of the vehicles would normally go up. But
Uh,
who knows?
let's read this, Pops. Compared to last year, retail used sales pace declined in June, leveraging a same store set of dealerships selected to represent the country. From Dealer Track, we estimate that used retail sales increased 5% in June from May. Okay, so they're saying used retail sales increased 5% in June
Went
from
up.
May.
Yes.
Went up. However, the Dealer Track estimates indicate that used retail sales were down 13% year over year. Compared to 2019, sales were down 11%, which is the best comp against 2019 so far this year.
Okay.
So
Oh, wait,
we're
wait,
actually,
help.
yeah.
Wait. Stop for a second. Help me here. Um, so did the used sales volume really increase 5%, or or did or did it decrease 13%? Which is it? Why is this
Okay,
so
it
hard?
increased. It increased month over month 5%. So in
Okay.
June, as an
Yeah.
industry, 5% more used cars were sold than in May. Year over year for June, there was a 13% decline in used car sales. And compared to 2019, June of 2019, there was an 11% decline against
Okay, so
used car sales
year
or for
over
used car
year,
sales.
used car sales declined 13% in June, but June was actually 5% higher than May of this year. So
Exactly.
the reason you state that is to make this article as confusing as humanly possible. Okay, got it.
I think the point being, Dad, we're seeing softening in price, but an increase in demand. That's the way that I read this. Is we're seeing
Yeah,
price
but the
go down.
demand is 13% less than what it was a year ago. So what is it really saying? Help me.
Will Schwartz says just a little confusing.
I think that might be the greatest understatement of the year.
The point is that, at least the way that I've interpreted the data, is that we're seeing an increase in sales, whether it's year over year or anything like that. There's an increase in sales month over month. and the price for those vehicles are starting to go down. We're seeing the same phenomenon, at least in terms of pricing, from our friends over at Black Book. Let me pull that up. We got their market insights for this week, Dad, and we've seen now on the wholesale market, used car prices are starting to drop over a
Yes.
point this most recent week. And when you start to look at the segments, that it's across the board, including
Yes.
subcompact and compact cars, and even all of your SUVs, things like that, with the exception of vans. Now, the
Yes.
reason I'm making a point out of this is because every single day we've got people asking us, should I buy new or should I buy used? My dear friend, Dad, you know Elizabeth, who moved to Austin, Texas. Her
Yes.
car
I
got
do know
totaled. She
Elizabeth.
she was calling me last night saying, "Hey, should I go buy new or should I go buy used?" I'm looking at this data, and I'm starting to think to myself, maybe wait a little bit, and a used car might be a better value.
Well, then that would tie in with a video that we dropped earlier this week that said wait 60 to 90 days to buy a used car. Um, so there you have it. If you listen to any of our very own videos that we do, maybe you would tell her just that.
But don't you think, Dad? I mean, we're seeing such few new cars out there. We're seeing such little new car incentives. We've said for a long time, if you can get yourself a new car at MSRP, that is typically going to be your best value in this market. I think we're starting to see a little bit of an inflection point, in part because new cars at MSRP are fewer and further between. MSRPs have gone up considerably across the
Yes.
board. And if we're starting to see some softening on the used car side, you could very well find yourself being able to negotiate a decent used car deal, unlike where we were 3 months ago, where there was no negotiating and used cars were selling for more than their new car siblings.
I would think as floor plan costs continue to go up with the increases in interest rates, that dealers will become a tad more cognizant as to what their carrying costs are, and that could impact how quickly they want to try and move their used car inventory. So my suspicion would be if I were still in the business, I would look at the first 15 to 20 days and I would price it at the highest point I could, hoping to get a customer on it. If after 15 to 20 days I don't have any real interest in it, I would start lowering the price in order to try and bring in some customer interest, because the carrying costs are going to get too high too quickly. So I would think that dealers should be more prepared today and more willing today to think about some form of price concessions when consumers come in to discuss these various used cars. So, yes, if there's a slight softening of demand, I think there will be a slight softening of pricing and a greater likelihood of some type of discount on these used vehicles that we really haven't seen much of over the last year.
Which will also implicate, let's be very clear, trade-in values. Trade-in values
Oh,
will
yes.
also start to go down because people are, dealerships are going to have less interest in actually
Yes.
purchasing those used cars. Now, one thing I'm going to pull it up on the screen, and then we've got a couple things we need to cover. Before I do, though, let's just head to the chat for a second. Justice says, just let your lender know your seasonally adjusted income is $1 million a month, and your seasonally adjusted credit score is 850.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Yeah. Seasonally adjusted. Yeah. Seasonally adjusted. Yeah. For instance, do athletes get paid the same amount every week over the course of the year, or do they get paid a smaller amount on the weeks that they're not actually, I don't know, performing their duties as an athlete? So theirs would be a seasonally adjusted income.
Maybe. Let me jump to the chat here. Pops Phil says, I see used retail pricing coming down in all the deals we have been looking at. Again, if you want help, if you're buying a car in this market, join YAA.com. Use our July 4th promo, get 15% off, become a member, get paired up with someone like Phil who can help you make sure you get the best deal. Igor saying, still the best value is going new in today's market. Totally a fair opinion. Used car prices are still up 45, 50%. Now, Dad, I want to share something on the screen with you, share a few things. So let me share the whole window. Bear with me for a second. In the YAA, if you create a free YAA account, you can add cars and track their value. This is something that we added, I don't know, maybe like a month ago now. I actually have Justin's car in here, his Ioniq 5. I last
Yes.
looked at the valuation for it. This is not a trade-in value. This is the retail value. What it would be, what you would fetch selling this car for a retail price, 63,888. Let's actually update it. So we'll say it still has 6,400 miles, and we'll keep it as 6,400. Zip. So it was 63,888 a moment ago, correct?
Yes.
Wow.
It's gone down $2,400.
$2,000 in a week. Yep,
$2,400.
$2,400 in a week. So if you're
Do
not
you?
tracking your vehicle valuation, add your car. It's 100% free. This is not one of our paid things. This is just add your car and keep track of it here. It's pretty interesting to see a $2,400 drop in just 1 week, Pops.
Wow. Yeah, that is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it really is.
People need to be doing that.
Yeah, I think it'd be helpful. I want to mention quickly do our Friday wins, and then I want to get into really, you've got to be kidding me. The biggest win, Dad, on our end this week, we passed 2,000 dealer reviews, and we also added leave a review to the top level navigation, so it's easier to leave a review. Over 2,000 dealerships reviewed, Dad. I need to do a manual update so that the map, when you go to visit dealer reviews, I need to do an update. I'll get it done today. Not all 2,000 are currently on the map. There's only about 1,600 because I haven't done an update in about a week. So I will do the update after today's show, or after we film after today's show. Over 2,000 reviews, Dad. How proud are you of that?
I think that's great. I think it's one of the greatest tools as an organization that we have to be able to get crowdsourced information. Now, having said that, we understand that some of the information might not be as accurate as we would like it to be, but for the most part, I believe the people that are leaving reviews are trying to be fair in their assessment of how they were treated at the dealerships. And the more of that information we could get, then the more of that we can share with people in our community, so that people can find their ways to the better dealerships. It's just really part and parcel of what we're all about.
100% it is. We've got here from Chris Dad saying, my 1996 Roadmaster cannot be added to your valuation tool. Everyone, while you're on here, go add a car. I'm curious which ones can't be valued. So please let me know in the comments and add your car. Tell us what your valuation is. Tell us the car and what the valuation is here in the chat. And sorry to Justin on our team. I'm sorry your car lost $2,400 in value in 1 week.
It's a good thing.
And Pops.
It's a good thing Justin wasn't looking to sell it.
Correct. It's Michael's birthday today. Happy birthday, Michael.
Well, happy birthday to you. May this anniversary of your birth be the best ever until, next year.
All right, we'll look at the chat to see what people's valuations are. Until then, Pops.
Really? You gotta be kidding me.
So we did a video that went out on the YAA channel just yesterday talking about refinancing a loan. It was really interesting because the gentleman in our community saved $2,200 by refinancing his loan. So I've been doing a lot of research recently on how refinancing works, because I think it's super incredible that you can save $2,200 and money goes right back into your pocket, or at least is taken off the principal. So as I was doing this research, that I came across a couple companies that do this. And we're not going to name names during this really you've got to be kidding me segment, but you need to be careful when you do a refinance. Do you know how refinance companies make money, Dad?
They mark up the rate just like the dealer does, I'm assuming.
So it's tricky because you can't mark up the rate too much, because you have to have a lower rate than what the consumer already has.
Yes.
You attach F&I products because you're placing a new loan. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to look at a couple reviews that I was able to find. And this is just a counterbalance to yesterday's video on the YAA channel. It's great that refinance is a very logical thing to do, something that we endorse and suggest people should do. Be weary of things like these. This had to be the worst refinancing experience possible. The process was almost painful and the result was worse. I was lied to. There was a $400 fee to do the refinance. They added gap and a, quote, cosmetic package were never discussed with me prior to the refinance. I agreed to the gap and cosmetic package at an extra $41 a month. Upon
Wow.
receiving just one piece of paper regarding my loan with my new lender, I had seen the total of the refinance at a 7% less APR than my previous lender was $2,053 more than my higher APR lender. Basically, my automobile was put in a negative equity state, valued at approximately $17,200, while having a previous payoff amount of $15,288. You do the math when the total of my new loan was $17,341. Once again, one piece of paper from my new lender. As for all these other options I was presented with, I thought that the gap and cosmetic package would just increase my monthly payment, just tacked on as a separate fee, not increase the payoff amount of my vehicle. This refinance basically erased $2,000 in payments to my previous lender, yada, yada, yada. So there's one example, Dad, of how getting a refinance, in theory, is a great idea. Paying $400 for it, don't like the sound of that.
Mm-mm.
Getting other packages that the dealership tries to sell you added on, don't like the sound of that. Gotta be weary of these things.
Wary. Yes, you must be wary of those things. And yes, I mean, those items, interest is charged on those items. So my suggestion when it comes to refinance at this point, go to your local credit union or go to your local bank and see what kind of rates you can get there. And if there are going to be packages, they'll discuss them with you. They won't just add them, and they're not going to charge you a $399 fee just to refinance. That's like that $399 is just pure profit. That is like a dealer doc fee. That's their basically loan origination fee. That's just money going in their pocket.
Can I tell you something, Pops?
Absolutely. You're my son. You can tell me anything.
And we're
You might
always
not want to
open
share that
and
with the 400 people watching, but share anything.
gotta tell you. When I started reading, because again, it was because of that community post, and we
Mhm.
did the video, I started researching refi even more. We got to do something in that space because charging $400, that's, again, we make $500 when we sell an extended warranty. At least we're selling a product and we're like $400 just for the privilege of refinancing is nuts to me. And adding all those
Yes.
packages is also nuts to me. And so I've started having some conversations. I know a few people who have built out networks of credit unions. Why aren't we in that game is how I'm looking at it. We should be in the game of helping people get connected to their credit unions. Will we make money that way? I hope so. I hope we can figure out a way to make money. It's not going to be $400. I'm not going to be adding on $2,000 worth of products to people. I want to see YAA in the refi space because I think it's so obvious that the players that are currently in that space are doing the same BS that dealerships do. And you've always said it. It's a 5-letter word: greed. They just get greedy. What I like about us is I don't think we'll get greedy. I think we can always maintain that we're actually trying to help the consumer. Maybe we even don't make money on it, but we ask people to pay for the membership to get access. I don't know. We'll figure out a way.
Let's face it. We're not about greed. We're not adverse to trying to make this a profitable business. We want to make money at this. It's the reason we do it. It's the reason that investors have invested money in this business. But we want to be transparent about it. And transparency is lacking in most transactions today. And if we can become the transparent uh, vehicle of choice in essence to refinance or get automobile insurance or keep track of the value of your car, and we let you know up front what it's all costing you, I think there's value to that. Yes, right now we're basically a nonprofit, but that doesn't mean we want to continue down that line. We want to be profitable so we can be here, I don't know, for a long, 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 long time, longer than I'm going to
Yeah.
be around. Um, it- just keep doing the right things, and we'll be fine.
Reasonable charge to refi the car loan nowadays is $200 to $250. Why does it cost so much? Why is there a fee, Igor? I don't understand why there has to be a fee to refi. Like, if you just create the relationships with the credit unions, why would there be a fee to refinance? I don't get it. Like, how am I
What?
just being naive?
Why? Here's a question for you, Zach. Why is there a loan origination fee on a mortgage? And most mortgages are 30 years. And and they're going to charge you a loan origination fee up front when you're going to pay them back, I don't know, $300,000 over the 30 years. I mean, why do they have to charge you a loan origination fee? Aren't they just going to make enough off of the loan itself, the interest on the loan itself? So it's it's they they're all looking for ways to increase their bottom lines. That's all.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna continue to investigate in that space because it seems like a pretty obvious opportunity to do things a bit more customer centric and not try and
Okay,
make as much money.
so
Like it's
so if the average fee is $250 to $400, and we were involved, and the average fee was $100 or $150,
why don't you
there
just
you
make it
go.
a member benefit? Like still sell it as part of a membership. So pay $100 a year to be a YAA member, and then part of that is you can refi whenever you want. We got our insurance agency status set up next week. Actually, we can start selling auto insurance, bundle it with your home insurance. So like, I don't know. Why don't we just do everything but like make Leon's gonna email me some ideas. Anyway, we'll talk about this. Sorry for getting into that. If you like the business side of this, tell us. We can talk about that more. I've got no qualms sharing what we're thinking about. We are going to be live tomorrow night over on the YAA channel, 7 p.m. Eastern. Please join us there. I was thinking, Dad, for tomorrow night, we'll do some success stories. Maybe we can do some phone call-ins, things like that. If anyone in the chat has suggestions for what we do tomorrow night, always open to hearing that as well.
We can, try and review some deals, perhaps. Questions that come across, what should I do this? Should I do that? I'm in on anything. Any way we can help people.
I'm actually going to come in a full bubble suit because we'll probably use bubble as some sort of bait to get people in. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, no shame in my game.
Bubble boy. Yeah.
All right, Pops, let's hop off. We're going to film some videos that are going to go on the channel next week. So let's hop off and start doing that. And everyone, we'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Yep. Thank you, everybody, for being here. For those of you who will miss tomorrow night's show, and I don't know why you would want to, we'll be back here again Monday on the Ray and Zach channel at noon with more news that you can use from YAA. So please have a great weekend and be sure to join us on Monday.
Oh my gosh. See, this is the type of crap. Michael says in his extended warranty on a 2022 Subaru Crosstrek worth the 3,200. No. All right, we're not getting off, gang. We can't get off. This is the craziness. Michael,
So now
go to our website, go to coverage,
Yes.
go to extended warranty. He said 2022 Crosstrek, right?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Wait for the stupid page to load because it's a little slow. God, faster. There we go. Oh my God. He said
I'm guessing it's
3,200.
going to be around $1,500.
Crosstrek. It's gonna have no miles on it, and let's just say we're in Alaska, sure, or whatever. We'll say.
No, where does he live?
The price is the same in every state.
Okay.
$1,392.
Oh, I was off by $108.
And we make $500, Michael. So the wholesale cost is $892. Do not pay $3,200 for that. Jeez Louise.
There you go.
Okay, let's go film videos. See you guys.
We're just saving people money.
Yeah, seriously. All right.
Okay.
See you, Pops.
Okay, I'll see you in a few.